Did ASRock solve Ramageddon 2026 with the oldest play in the book? And does their gamble have a payoff beyond our time in Vegas? Well, thanks to ASRock for sponsoring this video, we got to go to CES 2026 to see what they've been cooking up in response to the current climate in the PC building space. And their not-so-secret recipe? A combination of creative solutions, options, and innovations, including the creation of an entirely new product line. We've got a lot of ground to cover, and we're going to tell you all about that and more right here, right now on Robeytech. It would be an understatement to say that the current state of PC DIY is a bit rocky, if not just plain crap right now. But we've been here before. Today, it's AI data centers impacting RAM and SSDs. Yesterday, it was tariffs and then silicon shortages for GPUs and CPUs before that. And I'll be honest, it never feels good to see shortages and inflated prices, especially if you absolutely need to buy or build a PC today. So what choice, if any, do you have other than just sucking it up and just planning to spend the extra cash? Well, that's the option right there, choice. Having more choices can be one of the greatest assets when prices get out of control. And that's exactly what we saw and heard while touring ASRock's suite at CES. As they showed off their upcoming products, one of the first things ASRock acknowledged was the current climate for PC builders, and as a result, their commitment to doubling down on providing competitive options to consumers. And before you ask, no, ASRock did not announce a new line of budget-conscious RAM. They did, however, show how they are expanding the options consumers have at just about every level. So let's start in the place where we saw that mindset the clearest, their motherboards. Meet the Rock series. This is a whole new product series for ASRock, and it's positioned to serve as a budget-conscious line that balances value and performance. Now, in case you're wondering where this new line falls in the current product stack, we've actually got a handy graphic. The Rock series lives just below their Pro series, and the option they showcase makes sense for where this new series lives. At launch, the Rock series has both ATX and micro ATX versions of AMD B850 and Intel B860 motherboards. And just in case you're hearing entry level and thinking bare bones, don't mistake entry level for being entirely stripped back. These boards have M.2 and VRM heatsinks, pre-installed I/O shields, and built-in Wi-Fi, including Wi-Fi 7 on their ATX models. ASRock also showed off their new Challenger series boards as well, which are positioned a step above their Pro series. The Challenger series features hardier VRMs, built-in heatsinks for multiple NVMe drives, models in both black and white, including white PCBs, and X870 versions. Now, ASRock did say that the white versions of the Challenger series would be between $10 and $15 more than the black versions, but you know what? Hey, it's cool to see options here, which is actually something we didn't expect to see when it came to options to choose what type of RAM to use with a motherboard. This right here is the H610 combo. And this crazy motherboard can use either DDR4 or DDR5 memory. Now, it is socket LGA 1700, so it's limited to 12th to 14th gen Intel Core CPUs, but it does present an option for scaling if you need to build a PC today, but DDR4 is all you have access to without taking out a small loan. But let's say you're not fussed by budget and you just want high performance for competitive overclocking. Well, for you, ASRock showcased the Taichi X870C OC formula. It's a motherboard designed to push the limits of what's possible with your components. But in order to push those limits, you need actual power to push, which brings us to ASRock's line of PSUs. As we look down their lineup, from the $50 Pro Series and the 1,000 watt tiny but mighty Phantom Gaming SFX to the monstrous 1,650 watt Taichi, there was one thing that really stood out about their PSUs. Not only was ASRock following a theme of providing options at every single price point, they were also providing options for both efficiency and safety. Look, here's what I mean. 3 out of the 4 PSUs we saw were platinum rated or higher by both the 80+ standard and the cybernetic standard as well, including ASRock's refresh on their Steel Legend PSUs, which are both platinum in rating and in color, with matching cables of course, as well as the new Taichi power supply, which actually has a titanium rating. But what about the safety part? Well, with their new modular power supplies, ASRock's new 12-volt PCIe cable has a built-in sensor that sends a signal to your PSU to shut it down to prevent the cabling from actually overheating. While we were talking to them about this, they actually shared a story about a GPU overclocker who was using one of these power supplies in a system with an RTX 5090 that they were absolutely pushing. And this feature actually saved their GPU from being damaged. And since we're talking about GPUs, there wasn't too much new here, but ASRock did show us their upcoming Intel Pro B60 card that will be coming out in a few months. These GPUs are positioned to be lower cost alternatives to some of the workstation cards on the market. So if you're someone who's working with digital content creation, coding, or training AI models, ASRock will absolutely have an option there. But speaking of options I really didn't expect to see, with their new RX 9070 XT Taichi cards, ASRock included a built-in LCD panel that can display system information, loop videos, or tell you what the weather's like in case you want to go outside and touch some grass. Now, I know I've seen LCDs on GPUs before, but I'm pretty sure displaying a weather forecast is a first. But let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, and if you would use this to go touch grass. We also saw some firsts in ASRock's new entry into the liquid CPU cooler market. Just like we saw throughout our tour, ASRock had options at just about every level, from their budget-conscious Pro Series all the way up to their flagship Taichi line. But you know how exciting this is for us here at Robeytech because you know how much I love AIOs, especially when they're functional and they help your PC look good. Check out what ASRock is doing with the Steel Legend 360 LCD, for example. This thing is being released at the end of January with a $159 price tag. It has a slick-looking 3.4-inch display with magnetic mounting that not only covers up the mounting hardware, it's also hiding a VRM fan underneath, so it provides form and function. What's also wild is that some of ASRock AIOs are designed around a dual pump system, so if something were to happen to one of your pumps, the other one will be able to pick up the slack. And don't worry, there's actually a beeping sound to let you know that it needs to get replaced. But there were a couple of AIOs that actually had me pumped. You see what I did there? And those AIOs are part of the Taichi family. At least one of them is confirmed for release later this year, but which one of those is up to you. Now check out these two concept AIOs and let us know in the comments which one you'd actually like to see become a reality. Now, Concept A, this one has an adjustable double curved OLED panel that can turn up to 90 degrees to help you see your AIOs display better. Now, Concept B uses a holographic fan on the pump head to create a floating visual effect. Now, both of these AIOs, like the Steel Legend 360 we talked about earlier, have a VRM fan inside of their displays. Which one do you actually like better? Now, ASRock wants to know, so tell us in the comments again so we can share that info with ASRock and you can help them determine which of these two options could become a reality at your local PC retailer. Now, before we move on, let's talk about the Taichi AIO that is coming to market, and that is the Taichi Aqua. Look, if you're really into water cooling, looking for an in-between step between the world of custom loop cooling and an AIO, this is your option. See, the Taichi Aqua integrates open loop features like fill ports, a float meter, and a see-through CPU block that can either be used on its own or integrated into a custom loop. It also has a thicker radiator, dual pump design, and an LCD if you want to cover up the flow on the CPU block. It's pretty dang cool. We're gonna land this plane right here because I think you get the picture. Seeing cool new stuff is cool, but seeing more options on the horizon is pretty much good for everyone. Will more options for components change the cost of RAM? No, but there is a future where everything will shift again and something else will be out of balance. But by rolling out new options at just about every level and giving consumers more choices for motherboards, power supplies, AIOs, and more, especially in the budget-conscious space, ASRock is actually providing a good template for consumers. When prices get out of hand, it's always good to look at competitive options and creative solutions for smart ways to actually save money, or at the very least, ways to offset costs by looking at the whole picture all up. As we close this one out, we do want to say a big thank you to ASRock for sponsoring this video and our coverage of CES 2026. And hey, if there was something you saw in this video that you'd like to see us cover in more detail or in a future review, let us know down in the comments. Also, make sure you leave a comment about the two AIO concepts that we showed off. Which one did you like better? Concept A with the movable OLED or Concept B with the floating fan? Now, if you like this video, would you mind hitting that like button? And if you haven't already, hit those subscribe and notification bell buttons as well. All of this goes a long way to help our channel and give us opportunities to share cool content like this with you. And if you made it to the end of this video, well, thank you. And we'll see you on the next one.